The last video I did about VPC, I told you some things that VPC is actually the backbone of anything networking and security on AWS. Today, I'm going to show you some practical stuff that will make you see that VPC is actually the backbone for anything that has to do with what has to do with networking and security on the cloud, AWS specifically. I'm going to open a VPC here. So let's see. Let's see the VPC dashboard itself. Then you will see what I'm talking about. So, okay. So this is a VPC dashboard. As you can see, this is so virtual private. When you look at everything here, you see things like your VPC, subnet, route table, internet gateway, egress, and all of this. You see, all of these things you are looking at, they are the ones that controls anything that has to do with networking on anything you are connecting in the cloud. And these things you are looking at, they connect a lot of resources in the cloud that many of them have one or two things to do with everything you see here. Same way with security, you see, your network access control, of course, is under VPC. Your security groups. In fact, I'm going to show you some things on EC2 right now that many newbies never knew that it was actually VPC that was powering it. So you see, of course, private link and all of this. All of these services are important if you are doing anything on the AWS platform. And if the funny thing is that you might be using many of them without your own knowledge, and that is, you will ask me that why, and that's because for every AWS account, when you log into when you create an AWS account, for every region you have, there is always an already created VPC for you, which is called default VPC. So for every region, there is a VPC that has been created for you, even at the point of you creating your account. So many times you're actually using default VPC for a lot of things you're doing under the hood, but you don't know. And that's why it's easy that somebody who is just coming into AWS, newly, can just start using VPC without even knowing anything about VPC. Let me show you. I think I have a few VPCs here. Let me see my VPCs. So this very VPC, where is it? Let me look for the default. There has to be default VPC. Okay, I think it's likely this. I'm the one that created this or this. But you see, this one was created. It comes as a default, and because it comes as a default, AWS has actually configured a number of things. You can see it's a default VPC. Yes, AWS has configured a number of things on it to make it easily usable for anybody. So you might not even have any knowledge of VPC before you start using it. But by the time you really need to customize your networking, your security on AWS for certain services or resources, that is when you will then understand that you need to learn about VPC. I'm going to show you something. Like I said, let's go to EC2. Let me create an EC2 instance, and I'm going to show you something very quickly. So launch instance. So here it is. I'm trying to launch an EC2 instance. You see, when you are trying to launch EC2 instance, of course, you put a lot of things. You put your instance name here, whatever name you want to use. You choose your OS, that is your operating system, the image AMI you want to use, and all of that. But there's a part I want to show you that many times you don't even know that very part is actually controlled by VPC. And okay, You see this part? Usually for a lot of persons who are just new with AWS, this part you would likely choose, is either you choose create a security group. Whatever security group you are creating here is usually using a default VPC, and this is it. This VP, if we try to edit this part now, you will realize that this VPC was actually the default VPC. You see, it's a default VPC that comes with the account. Usually, you are not the one who created it. So many times when you are doing things around networking, there is a VPC that has been created for you that is just powering whatever you're doing. So you might not even have the knowledge of VPC before you can launch a server on EC2. But the truth is that there can never be a server on EC2 without a VPC that is powering the networking and security part of it. So that's why I said there's a lot that VPC is doing under the hood that as a newbie on the cloud, you might not know that it was VPC that was actually powering a lot of things you're doing. So this is just one of the many things. So usually here you just pick a default. So because you are picking a default VPC, so if you are creating any security group and whatever, this will be created under your default VPC. So that's why you might not know that, it was actually VPC that was powering a lot of things you're doing. So if you are creating, you can never have a server without a VPC. Yes. So let me show you other things. Like if you're creating a new VPC, let me quickly rush through the process of creating a VPC. Just go and create a VPC. So let's create a VPC. So now this is it. So in the new, of course, this is an updated interface. I think like a year ago it wasn't like this. So what AWS has done now is there are two ways you can create a VPC. You can actually just create your VPC only. Here you just create VPC. You wouldn't need to create the other things that are embedded in VPC. Other things like your subnet, things like your route table and all that. But if you just create a VPC like this without all of that, this VPC is still useless. By the time you will need to use it for anything, then you will have to start creating those route table, subnet, depending on what you need. So this is one way to create VPC, whereby you just create the VPC without the things that are embedded in it. And this is the other way, which is VPCMO. And when you look at this VPCMO, you can see, so under a VPC, this is the VPC subnet. So anything you can see the way the graph works. So there is VPC, there is subnet. So either you are creating in a public or private subnet and all. Then you have your route table. So you see your route table, you see all of this. Even after that, you can see network connection. This is where you determine your internet gateway and all of that, or you want to use VPC Connect and all of that. These are the things that are embedded in VPC that you need to understand how each of these things works. And that's why I said, and I'm still saying it, that VPC is actually the backbone of a lot of things that we do in the AWS. And if you don't know it, you might not know how powerful VPC is. So you need to take your time and understand everything about VPC. It's bigger than what you think, and it's the major thing that controls a number of things that you do in the cloud. And if you want to be a cloud professional, you need to take your time to study VPC, understand the networking and security aspect. In fact, there's no way you can understand networking and security aspects of the cloud without understanding in depth how VPC works. So if you want to, of course, if you want to create anyone, so you can just fill in those details, put your CIDR block here and all of that, then fill it, and then you just click create. But I'm not creating. I don't have intention of creating a VPC in this video. This video is just to show you the power of VPC and let you understand that VPC is not just a service. It's something you need to have a deep understanding of. If you really want to have a good understanding of networking and security in the cloud. So that will be all for now. I will see you in my next video where we are going to discuss more about some other cloud resources. So for now, take care of yourself.